My name is Marcy, and I represent Inter-Valley Health Plan. For those of you who are members of Inter-Valley Health Plan, I want to say first and foremost, thank you very, very much for your membership. 34 years of service we've been given to this community, and we're very proud of our company, our organization, and the fact that we have survived 34 years, and we will be here for another 34 years. For those of you who are members, for those of you who are not a member or interested, come see me after the event. Inter-Valley Health Plan is very proud to have what we call the Vitality Series. And this is where we give community, I don't want to say lectures, presentations and programs to the community. We have 9 offices like this one upstairs. How many of you have been upstairs? Yay. How many of you have never been here? Okay, a few of you, so you still need to listen to my spiel. Come, there's right up here. You can be front row dwellers. Come on, it's okay. There's food over there. We're friendly. We give a number of classes to the community on topics that help people age well, age with vitality. Not only do you need to know how to manage your diabetes, but you need to know how to be happy. That's what today is all about. You need to understand the community in which you live in. We had an event here a couple weeks ago called the International Women's Event. It was the first year that we had done this. We had a number of different women of different cultures, religions, backgrounds come and speak and do fashion shows and some interactivity going on so that women understand that underneath our hairstyles, our makeup, our clothing, we're all the same. We are all the same. We put on proms. We put on dating conferences. We play bingo, bunco, and have Mother's Day teas. Yeah, we do proms. Real senior proms. And it's fun. It's all so that you stay as healthy and vital as long as possible. If you're happy and healthy, then hopefully your diabetes will be under control. If you're happy and healthy, hopefully you will get your screenings for your mammograms and your osteoporosis and all of those types of screenings that you need to have. So we're very proud of who we are and what we stand for. One of the other things that we do that we're very proud of is we do not report to shareholders. We report to our members. We actually have a board of directors made up of community leaders from the hospital, from the community, and they direct us. They tell us as a company what to do. Well, first of all, the federal government tells us what to do, but then the board of directors does. Then it goes down from there. We have something called a member advisory council. Our member advisory council is made up of our members, and again, they tell us what to do. They tell us what we're doing right. They tell us what we're doing wrong. I had met Celeste at one of our classes about 2 years ago and started talking to her and just thought that she would epitomize the member that we're trying to reach. Young, vibrant, energetic, adorable. Little did I know all about Celeste's background. And it wasn't until I really started talking to her and asking her questions, because I'm thinking all the time business, so I'm thinking a member advisory council, and then when I found out about her background, I was absolutely shocked. And she became a perfect fit to represent Inter-Valley Health Plan on our member advisory council. Again, telling us what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong. It's okay for her to tell me what I'm doing wrong because
she doesn't.
No, but it's okay. So anyways, long story short, through meeting Celeste and learning about her background and the classes that we offer free to the community, it just became a perfect fit to have her present a motivational talk to all of us. I go back to what I said a couple weeks ago about being the women's event. Remove all of this, and we are all the same underneath. We all go through the same hopes and dreams and grief and sorrow, and it's how you handle it. It's how you put things in perspective and how you wake up every day knowing that you still have hope and faith and things of that nature. And again, this woman will teach us in the next hour or show us how she embraced that and how she got through something that we can't even fathom. So, without further ado, everybody has their drink, because I know it's a little bit warm. Now I'm warm. See? Now I'm warm. I'm going to introduce Celeste Palmer. You can decide what you want to use here. Turn it off. You're good?
Turn it off.
Okay. Enjoy, everybody. Enjoy.
Hello. First off, thanks everybody for being here. And on your happy meter, where are you today?
Like a 10.
You're at a 10? Okay. Okay.
What scale?
What scale are you at a 10 on?
1 to 10, I'm 10.
Okay, all right. So she brought her happy with her. Okay. How many are looking for happy today?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, let's find it then together. Okay. So if you read the flyer that's on your chair, you got a little bit of the story that happened to me. Yeah. All I was doing was taking the kids in the neighborhood to school, dropped them off, and I never made it home. Celeste never made it home. Now my psychiatrist said, please don't talk about her in the third person, but to me she is, because after the car wreck, there was no memory. So no memory means a clean slate. It means when I didn't know I was sitting on a bed in a hospital room, so when they were asking me the neurological test, quiz, whatever, yes, there was no recollection of what I was doing, that I was even a human being. I didn't know I was a human being. Yeah, that makes it interesting, because you get to start all over again. After a while, they were asking the questions, and I felt so bad for them. I couldn't answer these questions. These people were looking for answers. So I said, sure, I know why I'm here. A double hand transplant. These have age spots. I want mine back. I had to be younger than age spots, right? I mean, if you have to be an age, you're going to pick something younger. So they thought that was funny. And then as I started moving around at different places, I wouldn't recognize people if they weren't where they belonged. It was a tough thing to start over again, because I thought, well, if I had to start over, why couldn't I start over as a baby again? As they were describing, you're walking around, you're wobbling around, balance wasn't there, recognition of things wasn't there. I didn't like reading. I didn't like talking much either. I would rather just take everything in. If you put a sheet over your head like you did as a kid, for Halloween, maybe your first costume was a sheet over your head and they cut the holes for the eyes, that's really all I knew about existence. Does that give you a good visual of what my life was at the moment? The first moments of recognizing what was going to happen. I had no idea. And then they told me they were going to bring one of my kids in to see me. But by this time, I'd had enough discussion with folks that I thought, oh my gosh, somebody's going to expect something of me. Yeah. I might not live up to expectations. That happens? So they brought him in, but they brought 2 other kids too. There were 3 boys walking in. I didn't know which one to pick.
Yes.
Oops. Life got difficult right away.
Yeah.
And it didn't get any easier for a while, until I realized that after some time, my daughter said, well, that we've actually had this discussion. We're just as glad you're here for your kids and grandkids and family members, because the alternative would have been really, really bad.
Oh, yeah.
So then, fast forward a little bit, there were a couple of articles written in the local papers about me, and one of the reporters called me one day and she said, oops, sorry, kicking. They put things in my way because, you know what, your feet gravitate to whatever's there to fall over, even if it's not anything. So, but it was funny because a reporter got back to me and she said, well, I've had a call from somebody and they were really interested in your story because I wanted to share this with you, because she said, this gal called and she said, I was having a really bad day and I read the article about Celeste. I didn't have a bad day. She did.
Yeah.
Wow, huh? But it was fun because, I could go places like to the doctor's office and those magazines in there, how old they've been? Not to me. It was brand new information. But there were a lot of awkward things going on too. Awkward things like, how often are you supposed to brush your teeth? Once I found out about teeth brushing, it was like, how often is okay? And what if I forgot if I had done it? So my hygienist was thrilled. Wow, good teeth. But there are so many things. It's so complex to be a human being. There are so many things expected of us. And you get up and you go about your day, and you're just doing all this stuff on automatic. Nothing was automatic. Nothing automatic. And there was a 13-year-old kid living there. My son. The others were grown and gone and had children and doing other things. But it was really tough to try and figure out taking care of him and taking care of me. So I didn't need subscriptions to magazines. I could just go look through old ones. They were just as new and interesting to me as anything else. And physical therapy is not exercise. Physical therapy hurts.
Yes.
Not that exercise doesn't, but it doesn't really tone you up and get you going. So I went back to Pomona Valley Hospital to volunteer because I thought, well, the one thing I've learned is that I can't do what I've always done because I don't know what that is. Do you know anybody else that walks around? I have a copy of my resume with me at all times so that if somebody says, what do you do? I go, oh, this. Because otherwise they probably wouldn't know. My first real job interview, I'm skipping back and forth a little bit, but my first real job interview, I handed it to somebody and I said, and if they were going to ask me questions about what happened before the accident, like, what did you do on that job? I go, I don't know. But also I could tell you a little bit about what happened when I was the MBA director. After the accident, they made me MBA director at Drucker School. Who knew? I was in the corridor one day, and one of my students came up to me and she handed me the paperwork from one of her work experiences at home. And I was reading it and commenting on it to her, and she said, I didn't know you knew German. I said, I didn't either. But let's go to my office and maybe I can explain how that works for me. Yes, the next question is always, well, did you really know German, or did that just come out of the accident? I wish you could get a hit on the head and learn German. You can't. I really did know German before. In fact, I got to my office, had the conversation with her about what had happened to me, and I'd lost my memory. And I called my daughter and said, what other languages are you holding out on me that I know? She said, Mom, go to the bookshelf at home. And if there are other books in another language, you know that language. Okay, this will be fun. And I thought, well, what else? So I looked in the closet. There was a bag of yarn and some knitting going on. And I thought, okay, well, let's see what happens with that. So I said, okay, we're just going to free up my mind and try this. Because I thought, this will be interesting.
Relaxing.
It was really ugly knitting. But I found out there are yarn shops for this, from that 13-year-old kid that's living there with me,
Yeah.
taking on the role of parent.
Yeah.
So went to a yarn shop. They got me straightened out. There were a lot of different things that I attempted. One of the things that got me started on this happiness project was that since I didn't know who I was or what I was about or anything, it was okay. I got to put something together, put this puzzle back together in some fashion. And by this time I'd been out and about and meeting people and going places like Disneyland. It says right on there, happiest place on earth.
Yeah. You have to buy a cup of coffee.
Well, I didn't know the difference.
Cost a lot of money.
So going to the happiest place on earth was fine, okay? And there were different things that I had to use in order to go there. I didn't have much stamina for walking, so it was in a wheelchair the first time and then using other aids and in between, because that's just how you get around. That's just like using a car to get from here to there, because otherwise it takes forever, or an airplane. So that's all I saw that as. But you see how you have to transition things that, oh no, I can't possibly because I'm in a wheelchair? Could have stopped me from doing a lot of things, but it didn't. So how many things do we limit ourselves with and don't do because we make our own limitations? About that time, I remember at one point they were telling me what I used to do, because we looked at the resume and they said, oh yeah, she does finance and accounting. No. At Casa Colina, where I did some rehab. Because why? Because of this strange thing that was happening. When I was counting, people ask me about reading all the time, but the counting was more interesting because I lost this. So if you have to work around and you want to count, what are you going to do? I said, okay, so I'm counting 1, 2, 3, and there was nothing there. You can't add, subtract, multiply, or divide and do it accurately to do financial statements and taxes anymore if you don't have this something holding the place. Since I couldn't come up with 4s, my brain would not see that, and evidently with the kind of injury I had, that's common. So I said, okay, I got a Christmas tree. My brain would accept a Christmas tree where it would no longer accept 4s. And eventually, I was going to learn how to have a 4 again.
Yeah.
Process of retraining a brain. We can do this. We just have to be cleverer than our brain.
Yeah.
There's one part of your brain that's going to stay clever and come up with different ways of doing things. How many times have you found the keys in the freezer?
Yeah, none.
But when you lost the keys and you found them, did you still know what to do with them? I didn't.
Yeah.
Big deal, I got keys. What are they for? My son was 13. He says, I drive.
I said no way.
I didn't know the difference.
Yeah.
I believed him. So life was fun, right?
I must.
We made it work. So what kinds of things are getting in the way of having fun, of finding the humor in the day? Right? We get in our own way, don't we? Okay. So the reason why on the back of your sheet, the front of the sheet is just for telling you a little bit about brain injuries. They're all different. Mine was really unique. As we sat at Casa Clina around a table and they'd go around and they'd say, oh, well, Susie's got this kind of a brain injury from a stroke, and this one fell off his ATV when he was out with his grandkids, that kind of a brain injury, and so they'd go around, they'd skip me. Didn't bother me because I didn't notice, but somebody at the table would always notice, and they'd say, what about Celeste? What's the matter with her? Well,
Nobody knows.
it was a rollover car accident. It took the jaws of life to get her out of the car, and now we're finding that because of the injury was to everything, including the brain stem, we really don't know what she's going to come up with next. That, wow, claim to fame. Don't know that I'm that impressed with it. The other claim to fame was that I went back and started asking about things at different parts of the hospital that I'd been in, like an emergency and where they did the, the MRIs, CAT scans, those kind of things. And nobody really remembered me there. But what they remembered at the 911 dispatch, I was the first accident ever to take up all the lines.
Why?
Because I guess cell phones and everything in the intersection where it was at Town and Foothill,
Oh,
Yeah.
everybody had cell phones and every business at that intersection was on the phone reporting an accident.
oh my God.
So they double booked it. 2 fire engines, 2 emergency things, everything. I thought, oh, big deal. I wish I'd have remembered it. Nobody took pictures. Anyway, what this is for is just to let you know the basics so that you can take this with you so you've got some idea of what goes on. Because there's all kinds of different things, right? Okay, and to give you some basic information. On the back, though, is kind of what we're about today. Some activities about how to pursue happiness. Because have you ever noticed, if you look at all the magazine racks or look at all the books that are out, there's so much about pursuing happiness. Well, it's in our, it started a long time ago in this country. It's in our Constitution.
Yeah.
It's a pursuit. You don't ever get there.
I know.
You're not done. Okay, so the first one is your attention. What's your attention on? If you pause, push that pause button in your life, and you find out that you're really kind of being negative, can you change it?
Yes.
Well, if you can't, who can? Right? So it's time to think about it. So that's what this is for. Notice what makes you happy. If you were to think about it right now, what would be your happy place, your happy moment? Birth of a grandchild. I got up and actually got to walk it to the end of the block today. I haven't been able to do that for a long time. See what I mean? Sometimes we have to purposely think about that, but do it. And write it on the calendar. If you're not keeping a journal, which I don't know why you wouldn't, because that's really a place to go back and find out where your happy was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Put it on the calendar. Make sense? Yeah? Okay, so and this has space on it. If you need a pencil, I'm sure somebody will share a pencil with you to write down some ideas that you might have so that you walk out of here having an idea of how you can make that happen. Oh, here comes Marcy with a basket of pens. How cool is that? You could take a real picture of an experience you had and put it on the refrigerator. Make it visual for yourself. How many have that? How many have framed that moment that was so special for them and have it visible? Yes? What's your picture?
When I had a third grandchild, after I had grown up grandkids, and there's about almost a little over 20 years difference between the older ones and the little ones.
Fantastic. 20-year difference between the oldest grandkids and the third grandchild. So she took that picture. That's wonderful to have present, isn't it? Good idea. Okay. Other things that make you happy? Yes, Henry.
Waterfalls.
Waterfalls. Yes.
Quiet time with the book.
Quiet time with a book. So there's all kinds of things, all kinds of different things too. Music.
Maybe sometime.
Cats? Yeah, oh, definitely. And your wife? Yeah, better say. He's out of the doghouse. Okay, so we all have something that makes us happy, that brings that moment for us, right? Those are important things. To recognize the things that make us happy and keep those more and more in our life. The other thing is there should not be enough room here to list all your happy moments. Correct?
Absolutely.
In fact, it might be fun to flip ahead on the calendar and put a surprise note to yourself. See, I won't remember when I do that. I skip ahead on the calendar and I'll write some happy thought down there, and then when it comes up, I go, who did that? How exciting. Weren't they nice to me? Oh, yeah, it was her. Don't tell my neuropsych, okay? She said, don't talk about Celeste in the third person. That's you. Well, I don't know her. It's okay to talk about her in the third person. I might like her if she shows up one day, but if she doesn't, I'm perfectly okay with this one I put together. I call her Alice.
Oh, like me.
Like Alice in Wonderland?
Yeah.
I like being in Wonderland. Finding out what human beings like. Because I didn't have, as far as I was concerned, I didn't have a personality. I got to put it together.
Yeah.
So I just would observe people. You didn't know I was watching, did you? On that auxiliary board, Marilyn, there were a lot of personalities, weren't there? So I got to watch a lot of people and say, you know what, those are really cool human traits. Some of those other ones, not so much. Don't need to be that. But watching people is a really neat pastime. Being an observer is really kind of fun. Because we get to see people as we walk through life in all different kind of capacities. The fella that did my logo, this is it in color at the top of this one. The Bridging the Gap logo, if you go to the website, is done by Danny Blanco. Remembered his name, Yoko.
Yeah.
He'd be proud of me, wouldn't he? He's actually a survivor himself. He's a young man who was a graphic designer before his motorcycle accident and has had multiple surgeries and is now back doing his craft at designing logos and things like that. So does a beautiful job. Take a look at the website and see a prettier version of it than this. Anyway, he said that when he feels really down, the thing that he does is he goes out and walks in the neighborhood. Every time he sees a person, he makes sure he says hello, tells them what his name is, finds out what their name is. He says, I may not remember it. I may ask them next time I'm walking the neighborhood, but I've gone out and I've made a smile happen on somebody's face.
Yeah.
You ever do that? What happens when you just walk down the street smiling? Do people smile back?
Yeah.
Not all the time.
No?
Most of the time they do.
Most of the time they do.
Wink at children.
Huh?
I wink at children, and they wink back.
Wink at
Or
children.
try to.
Yeah, yeah. Great idea. So winking, smiling at people, just to see if they might have that part of the fun in them too. I like it because, see, people would come up to me and say they knew me and I didn't recognize them because, amnesia, gone. And I thought, wow, I feel like I'm missing out on something. So I just smiled at everybody. They'd say, how's the family? I'd say, how's yours? Hope you have one. I don't know. But it was really cool because I was on the elevator over at the hospital, and this gal says, "You know, you're staring at me," and I go, "Sorry." She says, "No, I'm trying to explain to you that you're staring at me because you're always used to seeing me on the 3rd floor. That's where I work. But we're not on the 3rd floor, we're in the elevator." Okay. She said, "No, your brain is really working hard to get back what it needs to know, how to recognize people in a setting. That's really good. You're healing." I said, "Okay." Too much information. I don't know what to do. But wasn't that great of her to describe how a brain starts to work on those things? I just needed not to be rude and stare. But I thought, what a cool... Oops, here I am standing. Steve, we have to do something about having shorter feet on the thing. No, I'm fine. If I fall, you'll pick me up, right? So we're good. Life's too short, guys. Don't take it too seriously. You can quote me on that. I'm probably not the first one that said it. I think life has to be fun. We have to find the humor in it. And if I hadn't found the humor in it real fast, I think I'd still be sitting in one of the hospitals going, "What's next?"
Yeah.
But don't we have to be the ones out there making what's next?
Yes.
Yeah.
Haven't you done that? Yes.
Are you similar to the way you were before? Do your family and friends tell you that? Or are you entirely different?
I'm so glad.
Just Celeste.
I'm so glad she said, "Do they tell you that?" Because how would I know, right? Yeah. I've been told there is a thread of similarity. Evidently, I was ambitious before. The one thing I still cannot do is a trick that I would really like to be able to do. Well, I thought it sounded cool. And that was that what I could do before was I could, when I would give sales talks or motivational talks or whatever it was, I would hand out a sheet of paper to a crowd like this and have everyone put a different word in a column. And I would look at it at the beginning of the meeting, and by the end of the meeting, I'd ask if people wanted to call out the number they wrote a word next to. I had that kind of a memory. That's why I lost it. Show off, Well, I don't know. Anyway, so it was losing that kind of a memory. I thought, I just have to make up a different kind. But the fact that I can stand up here and remember as many of the stories and as many of these little anecdotes and living through the different experiences I've had, I'm really impressed with myself because they didn't give me a lot of encouragement. But if my story is like, okay, got it all wiped out, put this together, and it works, and encourage people to get out there and put it together for themselves, Who knows what you can do?
One thing though, how you went to the DMV to get the test to the everything?
I didn't.
No?
Nobody took it away.
Oh.
She's asking about my driving.
Yeah, but you don't have to go to the test.
No.
I do.
What happened with my, I was at Casa Colina, and they have a driver there.
Yeah, they do.
And they have a car that he's got the controls
Then you
too.
have that thing.
So I was questioning things.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and said, could he do a drive along? and he tested me.
Yeah.
So because I
Then
was
you did
curious.
the same thing.
I always wanted people to watch and tell me, how do I know how I'm doing? I don't know how I'm doing because I have nothing to compare it to.
Did your memories ever come back for anything?
No, in fact, I had some conversations with people because I thought I was having memory, and I would sit with somebody and I'd recount a story that I thought we had in common, and I got in real big trouble. It's like, no, that wasn't me, So I said, I'm not going to do this anymore. And then,
What about your husband? Did you have a husband?
not at that time.
Okay, I was going to say, was he helping you, or did he understand that you didn't have to bother with that?
No, I didn't have to bother with that. Saved from that, okay. Does anybody else have some questions? Because I'm an open book. I don't, people say, "Oh, that's a weird thing to have to ask about." But
What about the kids?
the children, the kids have been understanding about it, and the one that was still at home had the toughest thing to do. Well, not really, because he got to eat whatever he wanted to. I mean, it was pizza and donuts and Coca-Cola and
He was
chips.
driving around.
And he's driving 13. Easy life.
13 years old.
13.
You remember how to cook?
Well, this was interesting. The kitchen was an interesting obstacle because you have to remember that I don't understand. I mean, there's cabinets back there, but for me, that's wallpaper. I didn't know that you open those and there's something behind there. So even, the clothes closet, the dishes, the silverware, everything had to have notes on it.
What about your clothing?
I looked in that closet. I looked in the clothing closet, and it was all like bankers wear, like dark suits and.
How did you learn how to dress?
Well, it's like.
You went around naked?
No, not allowed. I found out that wasn't allowed at the hospital. He's saying, getting dressed, wear clothes. I said, yeah, that's what they told me at the hospital. Wear clothes, right?
Wear clothes.
Yeah. So, but the tough part was that I didn't like the clothes, and I didn't, and there was a bag with some jewelry in it and a sales receipt. I asked Jason, my son, and I said, well, what's the deal with this? This is yuck. And he said, well, we could take it back. So we went down to the store. He told him what happened. She doesn't like this because something happened since that time and this time. And they go, oh, we can exchange that with that story, no problem. So obviously you were asking, and some of my likes and dislikes changed. In fact, one kind of seriously, I was at my mom's and I was eating a dish of chocolate ice cream, and she goes, you don't like chocolate.
Now I do.
Sorry.
Now I
That
do.
was the other one.
Yeah.
This one, Alice loves chocolate.
Yeah.
Any flavored chocolate. White chocolate.
How long were you at Casa Colina rehabbing?
About almost 4 months. Almost 4 months at Casa Colina, yeah. They helped a lot. There was just different parts of it that had to be put together, because it was very confusing, and they described different things that I wasn't even totally aware of. That's what's really good there, is that the things I wasn't aware of that I was either doing or not doing that needed to be kind of brought back in focus, that was amazing. Yes, question?
Yeah, a couple questions. Did you have to learn how to talk again? Or
To make sense again, yes. Talking?
sense, but talking, you could do that. Okay, and you could read?
Oh.
You
Sad.
had German, you said.
Well, this was like 3 years later. I was reading and fine. But at first, reading was really tough because I didn't remember anything after the page was turned. Just like waking up in the morning, nothing there. Got to start all over every day. So I wrote a lot of notes to self. So reading was every time a new character in a book came up, I put a sticky note. That's what those are for. Those little sticky things.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had a lot of those. And every time a new character came up, anytime there was a plot change, anything that needed to be noted, it was laborious reading.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you have to keep track of characters and everything in a book that way, it's like not worth it.
Did you remember words and meanings of words?
Well, kind of, sort of, no. I did a lot of looking up. So reading it for understanding that's a whole nother subject.
Yeah.
And music, I could listen to music. Don't sing. No words, please. Because the music was enough to take in, but if you add the music,
The words you meant.
that had to come
How long
later.
ago was your accident?
I just celebrated 13 years May
Oh,
1st.
then, yeah. Pretty long time.
And there's good times and bad times, depending on how much else is going on in my life to,
Yeah.
wear me out from stuff. So, yeah. You had something else?
Did you have a faith? Did you practice a religion?
When everything is erased and you go through a near death like that, you just know that we're all here for each other.
Oh, yeah.
It's how much do you understand about that? And one of the most amazing things was the number of people that knew me before the accident and how they all brought me whatever their faith was.
Yeah.
They brought me a piece of that to share with me, to say, we know you're going to recover. We know you have what you need, and the prayers and everything else that it was an amazing sharing. So I feel like I have all of it from every angle. So it was
Was
just
your brain operated on, actually?
no. It might have been better if they had. No, no, they didn't have to go inside. It was too much. It was.
Hurt, legs broken, arms broken, anything?
No, it was inside my brain. Every part of my brain has been damaged, including the brain stem, which is the controlling.
The what?
Was swollen the brain.
Yeah. So everything stayed inside. They prefer not to go in there if they don't have to. But I have cracks
Yeah,
and
they put
a brain
they
stem.
put this thing in there to get the blood out or whatever.
Yeah, no. It was because the car rolled the way it did, they said, was the way that the damage and hitting everything and everything in the car hitting me. I'm glad I don't remember. Let's just.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Did your basic personality change?
You don't know.
I mean,
Well, I'm told that there's similarities. How I am, my temperament, and everything. My daughter, I guess, said it best when she said that, "Mom, you take time to smell the roses, the coffee, everything." So before I was a very busy businesswoman, raising kids, doing all of it. Yeah. So now there's more time to notice things along the way.
you're still very busy.
Oh, she says I'm still very busy.
I second that.
Okay.
Yes, you are. I see you.
Okay. Well, we're going to get some things cut out of it. Okay. Thank you for saying that and noticing. Now, how many days are you at it? Okay.
How was your sleep pattern
Since the accident,
within those 13 years?
you know, there have been better times and worse times, but I think that's due to pain. I think pain wakes me up, and it'd be really great to find a way to not have it. But the brain is constantly sending messages. Everything okay? Everything okay? Everything okay? Everything's okay. Everything okay? Everything okay? It's okay. And what happens is it doesn't get a message back. For the first year and a half, 2 years, I had no feeling whatsoever on the left side. That was the happy part. No news was good news. So when I started getting feeling back, in fact, I looked the old Casa Colina. I knew where Dr. Patterson was at 5:55 in the morning. So I would go track him down and say, "Look, I can move this," and he'd say, "Okay, let's see if you can move that." I said, "No, I know I can move a little bit more on purpose. We're going to call that good." So a little progress made me happy. Stop. So I think happiness has to be about you and about where your progress is. So if you're not finding your progress, you have to move outside of yourself. So when they say you're still busy, it's because I was doing a lot of volunteer work. I know, still am. But also what happened over time was that I was spending a lot of time around Peter Drucker. Anybody know who Peter Drucker was? Is?
Peter Drucker?
Peter Drucker? Yeah. So working at his school and getting to know him, he was the guru of modern management. He'd been writing books since the 50s about management and how to work together better in the workplace. And the last years of his life, he spent a lot of time talking about and working with nonprofits and how they worked with for-profits. And because I worked at his school, he would call me and say, "This is Peter Drucker." I said, "Yeah, I got it." The accent was still there, right? It was a wonderful thing because we'd have these long lunches together after we ran errands, and he would say, "Well, I understand that I was finding so many resources for people with strokes, people with aneurysms, all these different things. I'd been to the Claremont Club and had a wonderful wellness director there that was indicating that they had great physical personal training. So James worked with me for a long time, did an excellent job, made me feel really good. I found a happy there too because I could move more. My balance was getting so much better. I felt so much stronger. You know what confidence does to your happiness? Yeah? So, and all of that, and then, so Peter was saying, well, you're finding so many resources that you feel you can't use yourself. These I was using to my advantage, but there were so many more resources I was finding that weren't going to fit my situation, but maybe more for somebody with a stroke or MS or Parkinson's or something else. And he said, you know what to do with those? You're going to have to share those. And I said, well, where was I finding a lot of these things? Through the internet, through other things. He said, so you start a nonprofit, you put it all out there on a nonprofit on the internet. I said, how do I get out of that? That's work. He said, no, you find somebody else doing it and then you won't have to. I'm going to really work really hard to find somebody else doing it so I don't have to. Well, the result is that front page where you see
You have it.
I had to do it. And I had help, a lot of help, to get the resources out there, and we continue to add to it and find the right places for, you know, the right kind of organizations that are helping. Yes?
Did you have a close relationship with a group of people and see them regularly on a regular basis or anything?
Yeah, people of all kinds. I mean, people that are therapists, people
No, I mean friends that prior to this. That
If you have a close group of friends before that happened.
who knows?
No, you don't remember.
you didn't.
Well,
Nor
I mean-
did they show up, huh?
Oh yeah, some of them showed up and they didn't like the new me. well, think about it. You have friends that have the same things that you do, and that's how you have your friends. Well, there were a lot of things I couldn't do anymore. So I wasn't able to go out and do the things that we used to do together. So they went on doing the things that we used to do, and I had to go to physical therapy.
And find some other friends.
And I got new friends.
Yeah, I understand that.
Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
We hook up with the people that we do the same things with, and so when somebody either moves, changes location, changes the things they like to do, right? So that's kind of how where that went.
Happy when you lose your husband too. It does. Yeah, it does.
Okay. All right. What I want to do is remind you on the back here of this activity thing that we're doing. So if you've got your attention on the things that are making you happy, and you spend more time on that, then that's reflection. So that's the next part, right? Reflection is when you pause and you recognize what you're thinking about that's positive. Make sure you do have something around that reminds you of that. It can be a physical thing, right? The picture, it can be a stone that says harmony on it. It can be whatever it is. But make sure that you have something in your life that reminds you to bring yourself back to that moment that made you happy. We're good? You have something like that? Or, as you get out and about and around, you're going to remember that you're looking for something that you can put in your life that does that for you. How many are journaling? How many actually do write a diary, write something out? So if you're not doing that, I'm not saying do it for the rest of your life. This is a commitment. You have to get a book and do it for the rest of your life. I'm saying try it for a week. See if it makes a difference.
Encourage yourself once in a while.
Praise yourself.
Yeah.
Tell yourself how great you are and how wonderful it is that you're here and that what a difference you make in somebody else's life, because we don't do that enough. Yeah? That's really good stuff. Because sometimes we're the one that's on the bottom of the list. Do we ever get to the top of our to-do list?
No. Some of it, but I don't go to the bottom.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a list.
Okay. And appreciation, and that's what we're talking about right now. Are you appreciating yourself enough? And I don't mean with the whole chocolate cake.
Don't like chocolate.
A good book.
Yeah.
Trip to the spa, gals. How about a pedicure, right? There's all kinds of things that we can do to appreciate ourselves. Hello? I don't know. Is that me ringing?
I think it's you.
I didn't even turn it off. I turned it off twice.
Don't remember.
See, I keep turning it off and turning it on so many times in a day that I forget too.
I think it's yours.
It is, and I don't know how to turn it off. Once it starts ringing, I don't know how to turn it off. How do you do that? It'll stop. Eventually, they'll get tired.
They know how.
I know, but any 7 years old in here?
Oh, they know better than we do.
I know. That's why I need one of
My
those.
assistant
I need an assistant that's 7 years old. There it goes. Isn't that amazing?
You don't have an on-off button.
Well, oh, that. Somebody teach me how to turn this on and off.
Yeah.
There it goes. Okay. Yay. I learned something new today.
How do you support yourself
That-
financially? I mean, do you have an 8 to 5?
Off and on. Until they get wise to me that I'm really learning every morning how to do that job. And then they go, well, that's hard. No, I've had a lot of different jobs over the years. The most fun was, one of the most fun jobs was at Drucker, though. Because it was meeting all these kids from all over the world, come in for classes. I mean, it just takes a little while to be around them, and it was amazing to be an MBA director. And I got to go out on the, what happens with MBA schools is there's a lot of competition to get students into your MBA program. And so the MBA staff would take me on an airplane to San Francisco or to the Midwest, to different places, so that we could then set up with all the other MBA programs. It was amazing to have that opportunity to be in a different location and be guided by the rest of the staff to, we're going to go take Celeste to see all the different, whatever city we were in. I mean, we had to go see, Ghirardelli chocolate in San Francisco. That was more impressive than some of the other. Chocolate, remember? I like chocolate now. Didn't like chocolate before I found out. Sad thing. How could I
That's the
spend...
MBA for the kids that they have extraordinary intelligence or whatever.
I'm sorry.
The MBA, what
Yeah.
is the?
MBA is a Master's in Business Administration.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So, and we have an excellent program. I'm commercial. We have an excellent program over here at Drucker. And so I worked in the executive MBA program.
Yeah.
Do you know that there had never been an executive MBA program? And do you know that there is a difference between an executive MBA program and an MBA program? MBA program is for most of the kids haven't worked for very long,
Yeah.
and then they go into an MBA program, Master's in Business. And the executive MBA program is for those that have worked 5 to 10 years at least and come back to get a master's. And Peter Drucker was the first one ever to develop an executive MBA program. So how exciting to have the school that started that whole thing.
Yeah.
But to be around that kind of stuff and we've got it right here in Claremont. So to be around the schools and to have that kind of access.
I tutored a woman by the name of Molly Webster. Do you happen to know her? She had an aneurysm and a stroke, and for a year and a half, I tutored her. And I thought she might be in one of those support groups that you attended, because she tells me about the one in Glendora. There's a
Oh, you know what's in Glendora is it's all stroke.
is it?
Yeah. Now, there are some support groups that are all about aneurysm or all about stroke or all about. Ours is for everybody. We have veterans that are coming back from war with PTSD, and there's a lot of similarity with traumatic brain injury. So we're really covering everything in ours. We have one that meets across the street on the last Tuesday of the month at 6:30 at the Claremont Club, and ours meets at Claremont Place down on San Jose, assisted living place, on the second Tuesday of the month at 6:30 in the evening. And we welcome everybody, caregivers, friends, people that just want to understand more about the aging process with the brain, because that's part of it. Any trauma, it's an amazing, amazing thing. But to find happiness, to find after what I went through, anybody can do it. What are you going to do to find your happiness? What makes sense to add to your life? What are you currently doing that makes happy in your life? Not a rhetorical question. Please answer.
For me, it's like keep on going. I'm more busy than when I was working.
Oh, see?
Go to the gym every day for an hour and 15 minutes. Didn't lose any weight, but I lose inches.
There you go.
But I feel better.
But she just turned that into, she's not losing weight, but she's losing inches. So, there she goes. She's turned it into what the positive is for her.
Yeah. And then, we do charity work in the church for the people that have cancer, they have emergencies. We do quilts for the people.
Excellent. Charity work. Okay. And you had something?
I find happiness in helping other people.
Yeah.
Ever since I retired, I have done volunteer work. And
I love that.
and I'm happy with it because I get to see people appreciate the fact that there's somebody there to talk to, or whatever their need is.
Excellent. Excellent. Yes.
Once a month, I belong to a group that's called at church called the Joy Box, and we put gift boxes together with beautiful bows, and the boxes are gorgeous. We put in 7 tiny little gifts that don't really mean anything, and we attach a scripture to each one to be opened once a day during their time of grieving or going to surgery or whatever they're going through. And as a group, we pray over them, and that is a joy.
Yes.
I'm doing some things for myself. I just signed up for Zumba Gold, even though I thought I shouldn't spend the expense because I just love to dance. And I've taken care of people all my life, so it's fun to take care of me. I started reading some books just for fun. Do I get happy or what?
Fantastic, huh? And you know what I'm hearing too, and I'm seeing smiles on their faces as people talk about this? What happens to your self-worth when you start doing these kinds of things?
It takes a second.
Yeah.
Confidence.
Yeah.
All those kinds of positive words.
Yeah.
Those are the things you can add to that list about yourself when you're thinking about this, right? putting other people first. You're stepping outside of your own whatever's going on. The funnest part of feeling really miserable when I'd wake up in the morning and I knew I was headed over to Pomona Valley to volunteer with Marilyn over there. We were helping other people.
And sometimes, I feel like, okay, you have to do this, but which one is more important? And sometimes I say, what the heck, the house can get whatever. I do whatever I have to do right now. I didn't do it before, but try to do the most important thing for me right now. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have to put ourselves at the top of the list and
Yeah.
let the dust collect a little while
Yeah.
at home.
Oh, don't talk about my material. I have materials all over in the sewing room.
Oh.
And I have to fix it, but I didn't yet. One of these days.
Yes.
Could you tell me about these 2 stroke meetings that you have, 2 different places
Well,
that you just
yeah.
told about? I
Okay.
didn't get it down.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, let me write that down.
Okay.
Okay, so we have 2 brain injury or brain trauma support groups that meet locally in Claremont. One is, the second Tuesday of every month is over at Claremont Place. It's at 120. Look at this memory.
Yeah.
San Jose Avenue. They're both at Claremont. Okay, and this is at the corner of College Avenue, and it's at 6:30 p.m. 30. If I misspell something, it's a pen's fault. Okay. And the last, not the 4th, the last Tuesday of every month, because some of them have more than 4.
Yeah.
Okay. This is at Claremont Club. Do you like that? I got the "the" in there. And that's right across the street here. So Monte Vista?
You don't have to be a member.
No, you don't have to be a member of the club to attend this support group.
And they're for all types of brain injury,
Yes,
both of them?
yes. Got that?
That's every month.
Yeah, and if you forgot, go to my website. There's a calendar on
Do they have
there.
anything in the Inland Empire over there?
Huh?
In the Inland Empire, do they have any movies?
You know what? By going to my website, you'll
Yeah.
find out other
Okay. Yeah.
in an expanded version, because we do network with other brain injury groups. And also, if you want to go to a Just Stroke, email me. Email me, because there are Just Stroke where they just focus on field trips and gatherings for those that are just about stroke, and I can give you more information on that.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
There's one in Glendora that was mentioned before. They're really, really great. When I was a patient at Casa Colina, we went over there, and they were fun.
Mhm.
There's one in Pomona. Brain's working. Where else?
Are
But-
there ones just for aging that don't have anything to do with any kind of injury?
Yes, at Claremont Place, if you go to their website, they have some really, yeah,
Just for aging?
yeah. And there's some through IVHP on aging. Really good meetings that's one of the really fun things about being one of the speakers for this group now, for IVHP, I really feel like I really made it now.
Yeah.
Because being on the Member Advisory Council has been wonderful, thank you. And also to be a part of, as you can see the flyer, I think I brought one up here so I could brag about that too. These guys put these talks on, all kinds of education, for free. You don't have to be a member of IVHP. So if you look out into the community, and there are going to be topics that are available at the colleges. We're in a great community for this. IVHP offers these things to everybody to come. I mean, how good is that?
Mm-hmm.
So is there an excuse to stay home? Is there an excuse not to get out there and be part of the community and get better educated about whatever subject? There really isn't an excuse. Go find a happy. It's somewhere. It doesn't have to say Happiness Project. Make your own. Do you think you can do that now? That wasn't loud enough. That was only one or two. I haven't got them yet, Marcy. No, really. Do you think that maybe now you've got some idea of how to go about making things a little more positive? Finding something in there that you've got my information on the handout. So if you haven't figured out how to get in touch with a group that will help you along to the next step, ask. That's one of the hardest things for human beings to do, is to ask for help. Right?
Right.
So here it is. Here's where you ask. Go to the website. I've also got on there, because I happen to be a life coach, so I know that I need to encourage you.
Yeah, I wanted to do a commercial.
Oh.
Celeste is a life coach, and she's been my life coach for a month, 6 weeks, something like that. And she's marvelous because she can take every day and make a decision. And I'm at the point where, you know, I'm fussing about cognitive problems and all kinds of crap. And she can just say, take one day, one time. And so life coaching is just, if you're interested in it, she's an amazing coach.
Wow.
You can learn from somebody who has sticky notes on their dashboard. I can.
Wow.
All over the house.
This is,
They have a movie about the crash lab
oh,
about Monte going Hallmark, and the guy forgot everything
Yeah.
because he has an aneurysm.
yeah.
And then he started putting speaker everywhere, and then his girlfriend found out. And she was so mad. But then she understand what happened, and, you know, he got better.
Well, it looks funny to have sticky notes everywhere, but if it's how things
Yeah,
work for you, you're going to do it. It just makes sense. So yeah, take this information. Do call me or email me if you haven't figured out how to get past that thing, and we'll find a resource for you. Make sense?
I'm going to use this. One of my greatest pleasures is working with people who I don't necessarily become friends per se because it's a business relationship, but I have to tell you that the 16 years I've been working in the field of senior services, I have met some of the most wonderful people, and all these years later, I still remember a number of people and what they have taught me and how they have faced adversity and overcome. And I can name people and see their faces from 16 years ago, my first job in the field of senior services. And it's been just a wonderful experience. There's many people that come into your life for what my mother used to say, a season or a reason.
Yeah.
And sometimes it may be a reason to tell you that, you know, it's worse off for somebody else, someplace else, and to get out of that little pity party and to look towards hope and look towards the future. And Celeste is a perfect example of that. You would never know looking at her in any way, shape, or form. But once you start to talk to her and you realize the adversity that she has overcome. As I said before, Inter Valley Health Plan, and you said it so well, Inter Valley Health Plan has been in your community for 34 years. And we do plan on being here for another 34 years. But all of our classes are open to the public. We pride ourselves on finding information that helps you. If you have any ideas of classes that you would like to see here at our Medicare Information and Vitality Center, let me know. A lot of times when we're upstairs and we have the opportunity to write, we ask you to give a evaluation of the speaker or a question or two to be answered about topics that you're interested in. You know, one of the real interesting things is incontinence is something that the federal government measures a health plan on in order to rate the health plan on how well the health plan takes care of its members. Well, we all know that incontinence, and you don't have to, you know, you can look up at the sky, whatever, but we all know incontinence is a huge thing. So a lot of people would write on their survey they would like information on incontinence. So we get a doctor to come in and do a talk on incontinence, and we're really excited about it. You know how many people came? Like 3. Do you know how many people wrote that they wanted a talk on incontinence? And so, anyways, don't be embarrassed to attend any of these classes because they're here. It's free information for you. So thank you, Celeste, very much. She can answer some of your questions. Thank you to some of you who have been supporters of Inter Valley. Every time I look at Henry now, I think of her differently. She is a wonderful example of somebody who leads a very vital life. Henry, stand up if people don't know you. No, really. Do that, please. Henry Mascaro, I met her a couple of years ago in these classes as well. And she's Native American, and she did a Native American dance for us. And it was just absolutely breathtaking. Anyways, so like I said, we meet some wonderful people. So say hello to your neighbor, as you said, the gentleman who does your website says hello to people. He gets out and walks in the neighborhood. Daniel, is that what you said his name?
Yes.
Daniel. That is so important, to be nice to people. So thank you very much. Be well. Celeste has one more thing to say.
Yes.
And I'm going to open up the back door. So be well, everybody.
I want to let everybody know that Julie and Steve are here. They're my videographers. They follow me around and hook me up with all this stuff. And they do a beautiful job. When you look at the website, it's their work that's on there for the video. And thank you guys. They're here again. Julie and Steve. Give them a hand. And I'm here. She's opened the door, so the floodgates are open. And if you have more questions, come on up.
I can tell you something. I like your 13-year-old person. Because you said the other one, it doesn't count. You are 13.
I'm 13.
You are 13.
That's right.
what I said.
I'm
I
only
like your
13.
13-year-old.
Thank
But
you.
it's good.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Celeste. That was beautiful. I didn't know what to expect. I expected much, much more than what I expected. It was wonderful. Thank you. And keep on being happy and enjoy. Take care. Hello. I'm so pleased to meet you today. What did they diagnose you with when this happened to you? A car wreck?